Hello, gorgeous. Welcome back to Lovegodesss Podcast, where we talk all things feminine empowerment and femininity and taking charge back of your life and your pleasure and tapping into your love goddess, your feminine energy that is charging everything in your life, right? I am your host, Katya Melvin, and today we are talking about a very interesting subject. I keep getting asked how many times a couple should have sex weekly. Let's talk about that. Before we talk about that, I do believe it is important for me to mention over the past week, I've been talking about all things why couples experiencing sexless marriages, what is causing sexless marriages. And by sexless marriages, I mean a period of time from your last sex that you had together that is lasting 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 months. If it's longer than 6, that is a big red flag. You need to seek professional help because that might indicate that you have problems in a relationship that are beyond simple, like they're deeper problems, right? Again, I am not sex therapist. Do seek professional help when you need that, right? But if you are kind of within that range where it is just those normal day-to-day life things, this is where I want to have this conversation with you. And we have been having this conversation with you about being tired, being too busy, being overwhelmed, being depressed, or being under influence of your own hormones, or on the pill. The pill will affect your sex drive, right? And when I'm being asked how many times couples should have sex on a weekly basis, my answer is it depends. Because there is no rule, like God didn't come from the sky and said, you have to have sex 5 times a week. That means 7 times a week. That means one time per day. Yeah, like there's no, the rules are the ones that you're setting for yourself, that are working for you as a couple. Some couple like it many times, like some couple like it multiple times a week. Some couples like it every day. Some couples like it 2 times a week. Some couples like it 1 time a week. I say don't go below 1 time a week at least, right? So but you deciding to, it's your life, it's your relationship, it's your connection between the two of you, and you decide what makes you happy, both of you, right? And the most important part that I am always shocked, why does it matter how many times you have it? Because to me the question is it good sex or is it bad sex? Because if it's good sex, I would want to have more of that good sex, or I would rather choose to have one good sex but less times than multiple times but it's bad sex. I would not settle for bad sex, period, right? So the question is not the quantity. The real question is the quality. The real question is the quality. How good is your sex? And if your sex sucks, there's so many sex education resources nowadays that you can go and learn about your anatomy. A lot of times when couples have So it's not that they're doing the wrong movement, like it's just different. Like every person is built differently. Woman is built differently. Like for some women, clitoris is positioned higher and lower, and like for some it's a little more inside. Like anatomy of a person is different, right? Anatomy of a guy is different. Like some can reach the point and others can't reach the point, right? And the good news is that outside of just your vaginal, like your like sex organs, you have your fingers and your tongue and like also, and then there are toys. I mean, there's the supply and like potential and opportunity to have great sex is amazing now. Like even if you like don't go to like proper sex educator, if you go to sex shop, they will tell you specifically, hey, there is this vibrator for this kind of body type and there is this vibrator for this kind of body type. Like you just talk to a salesperson. They love that stuff. They wouldn't be working there if they didn't, right? They are all into pleasure and helping other women, people, couples to like get it on, right? So that's the good news. So don't be shy. Go to a sex shop as plan minimum, right? Or truly learn about the best learning experience is through practice. Okay, like there's no no need in theory. There is a little need in theory, but you don't need to study the science of sex. What you need to do is practice and learn about your body and know what works for you and which buttons to press. Because if you don't know which buttons to press on your body, he's not gonna know either, right? And that results in very bad sex. Like if you're ignoring yourself, he's not gonna know either. And like it's your job to educate and be what is called clear and tell your partner which buttons to press. So on the topic of how many times should we have sex, like don't at all have sex, period, if your sex sucks. Just don't have sex. If your sex sucks, like why have it? Why bother? Like I'm gonna tell you, like only have good sex, but in order to learn how to have good sex, you gotta learn about how to have good sex with yourself by experimenting with yourself and knowing yourself. And once you know what good sex looks like, feels like, that is when you can train your partner how to do it, where to go, what toys to implement, what certain positions that work better for you. Like you start experimenting and you will find within that whole experimentational phase what you like the best and what worked the best, and that might turn into being your favorite position or your favorite way to do things, right? So it's not about how many times you have sex. It is about how good is it? Because if it's good, like I would rather have sex once a month, but it's like mind-blowing sex, than every day and it's a shitty sex. Like I would not, first of all, like I would not even let anyone into my life to give me any shitty sex experience. I'm that like on point, right? But like I'm painting the picture here. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. So to me, the question about how many times we should have it should not be even on the table. This should be on your and him table. You should sit down with him and discuss what's his expectations, what's your expectations, how many times do you want to do it, how often. Also, I do believe it is important for you to talk about who's initiating, because a lot of time when couples don't initiate, they just don't have the signals, they don't know how to initiate. That could also result in a lot of sexless days that it could have potentially happened, but it didn't, because he didn't read your signals. Like you're trying to like pick up on your signals, but within marriage it just doesn't work that way. In marriage, I am a big believer of having it planned out. Just like with everything on your calendar, there has to be room for that playtime, right? Like there has to be space mental where both of you are knowing, hey, we are like doing the date night and like we're gonna do sex after the date night. Like it's a thing, it's our ritual. Like I don't like to like call it like schedule sex. Like don't schedule sex, but schedule sex. In a sense of leave room for both of you to engage in some kind of fun activity. I'm gonna say like date your husband every week, and like have something like and tie it into the whole experience. Don't just schedule sex at 9 p.m. on Mondays. We're gonna have sex. Like no, that's just it might work for someone, but like to me, it doesn't flow with the whole love goddess philosophy here. And with that, my love, the main thought of this podcast is focus on the quality, not the quantity. And the quantity you decide between the two of you, because it's going to also depend on your dynamic and your needs as a couple and so many other elements. So what works for one couple may not work for you and vice versa. So the question you should be asking, what is it that's going to work for us? Right, as a couple. So with that, my beautiful goddess, I hope you have a beautiful evening and have a good night.